All right, let's talk about some hard questions this morning. We've been looking at the life of Job and all the struggles that he went through and how that raised some really hard questions in life. So, our hard question for today is, what should you really want? If you could have whatever you wanted, what should you really want? We want a lot of things. There are a lot of things I want. I want health. I want good health. I'm working towards that. I'm trying to watch what I eat and trying to exercise, and I want good health. I want peace. I like low drama, right? I want peace. I don't like, lots of stuff going on. I want knowledge. I'd like to be a lifelong learner. I like knowing things and learning things, and I don't want to be static or get to some point where I quit learning. I want that. I want love and respect. And I especially want that in my home. I want it from my children. I want it from my wife. I want it from the people that I care about. I want to be loved. I want to be respected. I want happiness. Happiness and excitement. Like I want a life filled with joy. I want to have fun. I want to have a good time and enjoy things. I want easy. I like low maintenance. I like things to work. I like things to keep working, and I like things to be smooth. I want to have fulfillment in life. I want to have purpose. I want to have a reason for the things I'm doing, and I want it to be important. I want security. I want security in my job. I want to feel like I've got my job, and I want to keep my job. I want to have it. I want security in my marriage. She's going to stick with me no matter what. I want security financially, that we have enough and we're going to have enough. I want security. I want a lot of things, but there's one thing that rises to the top that I want more than any other thing. It's the one thing that affects everything else in my life, and it's the one thing that I ask for more than any other thing when I pray. It's the ability to make the decision. The decision on what to say, on how to think, on what to do. The decision about the path and how to make that decision well. It's called wisdom. Now, or think of it this way. The opposite of wisdom, I guess, is making a decision poorly. That's called unwise. That's called foolish. I definitely don't want that. Sometimes we get caught up in moralism. Sometimes religion, even Christianity, gets lumped in with something that's a lot more like moralistic deism than it is Christianity, and it's just about being right and wrong. But if you read Scripture, you'll find that there's a lot of teaching, not about what's just right and wrong, but what is wise and unwise. What's wise and foolish. And many times they're the same choice. Many times they are, but a lot of times things, they're not black and white. They're not right and wrong. They're not clear. They're gray. They're uncertain. So oftentimes these things require knowing something that can't be known. Knowing something about the future that we don't even know. How am I going to make a decision about this path that I should take, or what I should say and shouldn't say, if I don't know for sure what effect it's going to have, what's going to happen? So I want to know those things, but how can I know the future? Well, being able to make a decision in the face of the unknown also has a lot to do with wisdom. Sometimes we only think of wisdom as just having sound judgment, being able to weigh all the things, all the factors that are involved in making the right choice. But wisdom is often the ability to not just do that, but make that choice when I don't have all of those resources. I don't know the future. So how can I have that? I want that. And that thing is incredibly valuable. Let me share with you some scriptures that it says about wisdom. Here's my favorite, Proverbs 19:8. To acquire wisdom, is to love oneself. Well, I like myself all right. I want myself to have a good life, and I'm rooting for me. Okay, I want things to go well for me, and I'm reading scripture that says to acquire wisdom is to love oneself. Listen to these other things. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. It's better than any security device you can have. Wisdom will save you from evil people. All right, that sounds good to me. I want this thing. I love this one. For the profit of wisdom is better than silver, and her wages are better than gold. Wisdom is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. She is incredibly valuable, this wisdom is. Wisdom will multiply your days and add years to your life. That sounds good. How about this? Trusting oneself is foolish, but those who walk in wisdom are safe. Wisdom sounds pretty awesome. In fact, Proverbs 4:7 says wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get it. Get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. Well, there's some problems. I know I want it, and I know I'd like to get it, but there's three big problems, okay? Problem number one is it's hard to find. It's hard to find. Wisdom's not easy to find. The writer of Ecclesiastes said wisdom is always distant and very difficult to find. It's always far away, and it's hard to find. So we've been in Job, and in Job 28, Job writes all about wisdom, and he talks about how people have such incredible skill. They know how to dig deep into the earth and mine for silver and hunt for gold, and they can put light into darkness and go into the deepest caves and sink a mine shaft into the earth far down and bring up treasures. And it talks about all this stuff, but as much as we can do all those things, it says, but do people know where to find wisdom? Where can they find understanding? No one knows where to find it, for it's not found among the living. We can't find it. Now, God has blessed mankind with so many incredible attributes. We have know-how. If you look in Job 28, verses 1 and 2, it talks about people. They know how to do this. They know how to do this. They have know-how. We have intellect. We have persistence. When we're going for something, we can go for it and go for it and go for it until we get it. We have that. We can see, how do we find oil and stuff like that? Like we've developed things to see underneath the ground and find things. We have the courage to go get them, the ingenuity to dig tunnels and do all these things, build dams, do all these things to go get the things we want, to have the things we want. But wisdom is always distant and difficult to find. You won't find it in the sports arena. You won't find it in the arts. You won't find it at the university or the other university. You won't find it in the right job. You won't find wisdom in the right partner. In fact, you have to have wisdom to find the right job and the right partner, not the other way around. You won't find wisdom in parenting. You won't find wisdom at the party. You won't find it at the beach or the lake or the mountains. It's always distant, and it's very difficult to find. Where can I get this thing at? Second problem that we have. We don't know where to find it, and it is not just hard to find, it's impossible to buy. It's impossible to buy. You can't pay for it. Job 28:15 says, it cannot be bought with gold. It cannot be purchased with silver. You can't buy it. He goes on to say it's worth more than all the gold of Ophir, greater than precious onyx or lapis lazuli. Wisdom is more valuable than gold and crystal. It cannot be purchased with jewels mounted in fine gold. Coral and jasper are worthless in trying to get it. The price of wisdom is far above rubies. Precious peridot from Ethiopia cannot be exchanged for it. It's worth more than the purest gold. You can name any kind of jewels, any kind of precious gems, any kind of thing. You can't buy it. There's never enough money to buy it. You can buy a nice car. You can buy a great outfit. You can pay for private lessons for your kid to help them excel. You can pay for an unbelievable wedding or a great vacation. But you know, people can observe someone and say, wow, that's a new car. That's a great car. Too bad the driver's a fool. Or, wow, she looks great in that outfit. Too bad she's so unwise. Wow, their kid is killing it. Too bad their mom and dad is not very wise. Wow, they're so lucky to get to do that. Too bad they're a fool. You know, you can buy all those things, but the more precious thing to have, the more precious commodity is wisdom. Wisdom. But you can't buy it. It's not on Amazon. I looked. Couldn't find it. And after meeting today, somebody said, look on eBay too. It's not on there either. There's books about it. You know, there's descriptions of it. But you can't buy wisdom. The closest thing you can even come to buying wisdom is if you could pay for the services of someone to advise you who's wise. That's about the closest you could come. But you can't get it for yourself. You can't buy it. So here's an irony. You could surround yourself with wise people. I mean, Proverbs 24:6 says, don't go to war without wise guidance. Victory depends on having many advisors. Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise and become wise, but associate with fools and get in trouble. So I can associate with wise people. The irony is wise people choose to associate with wise people. So somewhere, somehow, you've got to gain this thing. So how do I get it? It's hard to find. You can't buy it. So how do I get it? Well, that's the third problem. And it's not necessarily a problem. It's just that there's only one way to get it. There's only one way to get it. And here's what Job said. He said, do people know where to find wisdom? Where can they find understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all humanity. Even the sharp-eyed birds in the sky cannot discover it. Destruction and death say, we've heard only rumors of where wisdom can be found. So where can we get this wisdom? Well, before I sell out there on that verse, let me say this to you. It's not something you can be born with. It's not like talent or good looks. You know, you're just not born with it. It's not like, oh, well, that person, they're so fortunate. They were just born with a lot of wisdom. No one is born with a lot of wisdom. It's not, you're not born with it. Secondly, you can't manufacture it. You can't learn it. It's not like a skill that you go practice it and you'll get better. You can't study it. There's not a class for it. Like I can't start a class on gaining wisdom, or you go to a seminar and we'll teach you how to gain wisdom. You can't learn it that way. Okay. The third thing, and this is one of the biggest things I want you to understand, it's a real falsehood in life. You don't gain wisdom over time automatically. A lot of people think that. They think that as you grow old, you grow wise. Older and wiser. Now, here's what age gives you. It does give you something. It gives you experience. Okay? And experience is very valuable. Okay? You have a lot of experience. You can pass that experience on to others. You can help them understand some things. But experience is based on things you've done, things you've seen. But we described wisdom earlier as the ability to make decisions about things we don't know, about a path we're not sure of. How do I make... That's why I'm praying for wisdom all the time. I'm praying about things I don't know about, things that I don't have experience with. So I can gain experience as I get older. And it is true that I can give advice to someone younger than me and someone that's, a new parent or going through, new marriage, or maybe they're going through college or whatever they're going through, things that I've gone through, a young pastor. I can give them advice because I have experience. But that doesn't mean I have wisdom. My friend, I'm going to tell you, wisdom is about, it's not about learning from my mistakes. It's not about, that kind of stuff. It's how do I know the pathway to take? How can I make this decision? How do I know whether I should speak or not speak? And if I speak, what I should say? How do I have the wisdom to discern what's going on in a situation and what's going on in this relationship? And how do I have the discernment to know whether I should move forward in this project or shift gears? Or how do I know these things? Am I just dependent on the information that I can gain from people? Now, I should make sound judgments, get advice, know all these things, gain as much information as I can. But even if I do that, and my friend, I do, I research. Man, I'm a researcher. I like to find out the truth and find out from many sources and figure things out so I can make good decisions. But there still comes points where I don't know what to do. You ask me questions about this coronavirus and COVID and the timeline and all those things. I don't know. We haven't walked this path. That problem with all this is none of us have the experience. We don't know. We need wisdom. And it is hard to find. And because of that, it is incredibly valuable. We all want it. But there's only one way to get it. True wisdom and power are found in God. Counsel and understanding are His. True wisdom and power are found in God. Counsel and understanding are His. Well, I love this verse too. God understands the way to it. And He alone knows where it dwells. God knows where to get it. He is the source of it. Job's not the only one who knew that. Daniel knew it too. Daniel said, "Praise the name of God forever and ever, for He has all wisdom and power." He has it. Amazon doesn't have it. eBay doesn't have it. There's a store where it is. It's God's store. God has all of it. He has the whole supply. All right? So, how do then I get it? God has it. I need it for my life. I need wisdom. I want to be able to make these decisions. I want to walk the path. I want to be able to do this. How do I get it? All right. I'm going to give you some steps. Step one. All right? Step one. You got to have respect for who God is. Have respect for who God is. That's where it starts. It starts with a belief and a trust in who and what God is all about. Proverbs 9:10 says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is this sense of who God is. I know who I am, and I know who He is. I know that He's creator. I know that He's in charge. I know that He knows the past, the present, the future. I know He has a plan, a path, and I believe that about Him. And wisdom begins with that understanding. You know, many, many years ago, people didn't understand. They thought that the earth was the center of the universe and everything centered around the earth and rotated around the earth. And then they began to find, as they studied, that that's not the way our solar system operated. That everything, circled around the sun. The earth was just a player moving around the sun. That is what we need to learn in our lives. So many times we're born thinking that everything revolves around us. We think we're the star of our little universe, and everything circles around us and centers around us, and it seems that way. It seems that way. All these people are caring for you and taking care, doing all these things for you, and you can spend your life believing that you're the star of your world. Or you might even get sidetracked and well, it's not me, it's this other person. Neither one of those are true. Everything centers around God. And that's the beginning of wisdom, when we figure out who He is and what He is all about. This is what He says to all humanity. He says, the fear of the Lord is true wisdom. To forsake evil is real understanding. We understand who He is. That's step one. Step two, once we understand who He is and that He's the owner of all wisdom, He is the creator. Step two, simple. Ask for it. Ask for wisdom. That's right. It starts with respect for who God is, and then it proceeds to asking God for it. James, the brother of Jesus, explained that to us. He said, very simply, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and He will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. It's like, God, please, can I have wisdom? What's wrong with you? Are you dumb? Like, that's not what God does. He won't rebuke you for asking. But when you ask Him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. That's back to step one. I know who God is. I know what He's all about. My faith is in Him. My trust is in Him. I know He has it, and I need it, so I'm going to ask Him for it. That's step two. Ask God for it. Now, here's the key, and that's step three. And step three is that wisdom grows as you obey God. Wisdom grows as you obey God. In other words, as you use it, He gives you more of it. Let's go back to Daniel. Daniel said that God gives wisdom to the wise. Here, follow with me, if you will. It's like this. You ask for wisdom. God, I need to know what to do in this situation. So He goes, here, I'll give it to you. And so now you know. He gives you wisdom in the situation, and you know what to do. Now you have to decide whether to do it or not. Just knowing what to do, seeing the truth, doesn't mean you'll act on the truth. This is why true faith requires obedience. Okay? Now I know, now I see. Well, what if what I see I don't like? What if what I see, well, you have wisdom now, you can see it. Will you do it? Here's what God does. God looks at you and, listen, we've already discussed how valuable is wisdom. How valuable is it? It's worth so much. I want this capacity to be able to make these decisions in the face of the unknown. And now God grants me that. He gives me some of it, right? And now in this situation, I see. And if I act on that, He'll give me more. But if I don't, let's go that route first. I go, no, I don't want to do that. That looks too hard. That's too scary. I don't like the way it looks. I don't want to go. And then we come around again and we say, God, can I have some wisdom? And He gives you some. And you see the right path. And you go, but I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it. Somewhere in that process, you're going to ask God for wisdom, and He's going to say, what good is it if I continue to give you wisdom if you don't follow through? You don't obey. You don't experience the joy and the peace of walking the path. So in essence, you're not wise. I enlightened you, I let you see. But true wisdom only comes when we then follow the path, when we do it. And as we do it, God gives wisdom to the wise. Now I ask, He gives me more. And I ask again, and He gives me more. And if I continue to choose the wise path, God gives me more and more and more. My friend, if you're like me, you're praying for wisdom all the time, aren't you? Lord, how do I need to handle this situation? What do I need to do? Enlighten me. Show me. Which path do I need to take? Do I need to pursue this opportunity or not? Give me discernment about that person right there. Do I need to trust them or not? Lord, should we take this expenditure? Should we spend the money in this direction or not? Should we make this investment or not? What's the wise path to take with my son or my daughter on this situation? Should I lead them in this path or not? How should I respond to this situation? And if I respond, what makes it better or worse? What's the right path? We so want this quantity, this thing, this commodity, this wisdom. Well, it's a long way off. It's difficult to find. But it's only difficult to find because it's only in one place. It's found in our relationship with God, understanding who He is, asking Him for it, and then acting in obedience upon what He shows you. My friend, the good news is maybe you struggled with that and you would like to start on that path again with wisdom. Our God is so forgiving, so generous. Ask Him again. Ask Him with this understanding: Lord, whatever you show me to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take steps in that path. I'm going to walk in that path, whatever you show me, no matter how hard it is. This is a hard question for me. Lord, if you give me this wisdom, will I obey? Will I walk in the path? I'm praying that you'll have the courage to follow Him. Let me pray for you. Dear Lord, I pray for whoever is listening right now, sitting there, just, right there at their kitchen table, and we're just talking this morning, and they know they want this wisdom. And we look in so many places, or we just think it's going to happen. And Lord, help them to not only know it's from you and that relationship and understanding of who you are, but they would submit to you and trust in you and follow you in obedience. And they would begin to grow in wisdom, grow in that just sagacious wisdom and ability to see and know. And they would live in obedience to you. In Jesus' name, amen.